The US government stole these top-secret files from Nikola Tesla. But why? While working on one of his many inventions, Nikola Tesla accidentally created an energy device so dangerous that the US government had to step in. So they sent agents to confiscate the invention, but soon realized they couldn't handle it themselves. So they did something very underhanded. They brought in a private individual to do their dirty work for them. And when he refused, they forced him to sign a document stating that he would be held accountable if anything happened to the invention. Now this is where things get strange, because this private citizen was none other than Howard Hughes. As a successful pilot, inventor, and billionaire businessman, Hughes wasn't someone you wanted to mess with. So why did the government task him with stealing from Nikola Tesla? And what exactly did they steal? Join us as we look into the mystery behind the disappearance of the Tesla files. Nikola Tesla, the name synonymous with electric cars today, was more than just an automotive engineer. He was a brilliant inventor, electrical engineer, and physicist whose contributions to science and technology are still felt today. Born in modern-day Croatia in 1856, Tesla immigrated to the United States in 1884 and quickly made a name for himself in the fledgling field of electricity. In fact, he's most famous for his contributions to the development of alternating current, or AC, which led to a bitter rivalry with the inventor of direct current, Thomas Edison. The two battled it out throughout the late 19th century, with both men convinced their system was superior. However, Tesla eventually won out, and AC power is still used around the world today. However, Tesla didn't just stop at creating AC. Throughout his career, the famed inventor filed hundreds of patents for various devices and inventions, including neon lights, remote controls, induction motors, and even the modern electric motor. And while most of these were never finished or built, some have theorized that he came close to inventing several technologies that are just too advanced for his time, such as wireless energy transmission, free energy, X-ray machines, and even death rays. Though the latter is widely considered to be a hoax, Tesla's interest in high-frequency currents led him to develop several unique inventions, including one that would attract the attention of the US government. By the early 1900s, Tesla was already a well-known inventor, but he needed investors to keep his research going. The problem was that much of his research seemed far-fetched and even impossible to the average investor. That all changed with the advent of radio. While Tesla received much of the credit for inventing radio, it was actually Guglielmo Marconi who was awarded the first patent for the device. Regardless, Tesla saw the potential of the new technology and set about creating a wireless communication system that could transmit not only messages but energy as well. Called it the Wardenclyffe Tower after the location of his laboratory in Shoreham, New York. This tower was unlike any other structure ever built, standing 53 meters tall and sporting a large wooden dome. The tower consisted of a large metal sphere mounted atop a 68-meter mast and connected to a mile-long antenna. Tesla believed that by sending alternating current through the antenna, he could transmit electrical energy anywhere in the world. While scientists scoffed at the idea, Tesla was determined to prove them wrong. In fact, he even went so far as to claim he could beam free electricity to every home in the country. However, before he could prove his theory, the US government stepped in. As the story goes, J.P. Morgan, the financial backer of Tesla's research, pulled out at the last minute, citing concerns over the project's feasibility. Despite this, Tesla continued work on the Wardenclyffe Tower and attracted the attention of the US military. At the time, radio was relatively new, and little thought had been given to its potential uses beyond communication. But the US military quickly realized that Tesla's invention could be used to transmit messages across the country without the need for cables or wires. This caught the government off guard, as it meant that enemies could potentially spy on communications or even jam signals. So they sent in an agent to investigate. Initially, Tesla didn't think much of it and allowed the agent to tour the facility. However, he quickly became suspicious when he found out the agent was reporting back to the government. He confronted the man, who revealed himself to be George W. Coleman, a Secret Service agent. After assuring Tesla that he meant him no harm, Coleman explained that he was there to confiscate certain documents from the lab. However, when Tesla asked what documents, Coleman remained vague and simply stated that the government had reason to believe the inventions were a threat to national security and that they had the authority to seize them. With that, Coleman ordered Tesla to turn over the plans to his wireless communication system. claiming that if he refused, they would be forced to obtain them by force. At this point, Tesla knew he was in trouble. He had always been careful to keep his research top secret, and he was unsure what the government would do with his inventions. But he also knew that he couldn't fight the government, and quickly complied, turning over the documents and blueprints to his wireless energy transmitter. However, this is where things get strange. As we mentioned earlier, once the government realized the potential applications of radio, they began investing heavily in the technology, funneling money into developing their own transmitters and communication systems. They even went so far as to establish the U.S. Naval Radio School in 1906, which would train military personnel on how to use radio effectively. It's believed that this school may have been partly responsible for stealing Tesla's inventions, as it gave the government a convenient cover for its activities. You see, by establishing a school to study radio, the government could easily send in agents to investigate Tesla's Wardenclyffe Tower without drawing attention to itself. Additionally, by claiming that the documents were needed for national security purposes, they were able to avoid any legal challenges that might have otherwise arisen. But once they had the documents, they quickly realized they were in over their heads. Much of Tesla's research was highly technical and even brilliant. Scientists at the time could understand the complex diagrams and notes written in Tesla's own hand. This led the government to bring in an outside expert to help decode Tesla's inventions, but not just any expert. They brought in none other than Howard Hughes. Hughes was a brilliant inventor and engineer in his own right, and had already made a name for himself with his aircraft company. But he was also a skilled cryptographer and codebreaker. In fact, he was so good that the government recruited him to help break German codes during World War II. So when the government needed help understanding Tesla's inventions, Hughes was the man for the job. But when he arrived at the lab, he refused to steal the files. According to reports, Hughes was appalled at the state of the lab and the way Tesla had been treated. After learning that the government had essentially kidnapped Tesla and forced him to turn over his inventions, he refused to participate. However, the government was unhaving it and pressured Hughes into signing a document stating that he would be held accountable if anything happened to the inventions. This meant that if the inventions were stolen, the blame would fall squarely on Hughes. Of course, this was a clever move by the government, as Hughes was a respected inventor and engineer, and the public would likely believe him over a foreign national. However, it seems that Hughes still refused to participate. According to some reports, he simply walked away from the lab without taking anything, leaving the government with no choice but to steal the files themselves. And while there's no hard evidence to support this claim, it makes sense given what we know about Hughes and the situation at the time. In the end, the government was able to reverse engineer some of Tesla's inventions, but others were never fully realized. For example, they were able to create radio receivers, but Tesla's wireless energy transmitter was never duplicated. Some have speculated that the government intentionally destroyed the remaining files to prevent anyone from learning the secrets behind the lost inventions. But others believe that the files are still out there somewhere waiting to be discovered. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain. The government's actions led to the loss of some truly innovative inventions that could have changed the world forever. Thanks for watching. What do you think happened to the Tesla files? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this.